Hi, I'm Ronnie from Ronnie's Garage, and today we're having our monthly tech meet, and we'll be working on slow windows on a Bentley T2. Get back to our original topic, slow windows. Someone made a reference to mechanical issues, which would be like sticking channels. Another thing that happens on these, on the shadows, is there's a gearbox in here. So it's got, the motor has a worm gear, which is a long, kind of like a screw thread. And then there's the gear right here that fits into that screw thread. And it changes directions, and then that gear is attached to a chain with pulleys. A lot of times...
Is that the gear that breaks?
Well, on the shadows, very rare. On the Spirits and Spurs, yes. They have a
gear that breaks on these?
They have a couple of gears actually. They have a plastic gear that slips on a shaft that likes to break. They have a coupling between the motor and this gearbox that's plastic that likes to deteriorate and break. Yeah, well that's that one. The other thing that goes bad is the shaft that goes through there and hooks to the chain sprocket. There's a rubber bush inside there. That lets go. And all those happen over time from non-use and it just mechanical binding. I used to pull these things apart and go through them and clean them and lube them and all that. Then I figured a little trick about drilling a tiny hole in here in the gearbox and then squirting like Tri-Flow or some other kind of heavy penetrant oil and working it, and it loosens up that grease, and it's good for a long time. And then just putting a little plastic plug in that hole,
like,
or a little RTV.
So you do like a 30-second drill bit or a 16-inch?
Yeah, 1/8 inch, whatever. Big enough to get that little plastic tube for your spray can thingy. But the biggest cause of failure on these is the drop in voltage. And that's why someone has come up with this relay modification to where you bypass the switches for current and just use them for signal wires. And then you put a couple of relays in that use the power source here. There's a big, let me open this up, pull this out because we're going to get in there. This is the door lock solenoid. It doesn't even work on this car, obviously. But those are high current, that's a high current wiring here. So we did the solenoids last. Remember the big old hammering loud things? Those take a lot of current. So the wiring and the voltage feed to them is very big. Come on now. And since I have permission from the owner, does this look right, this wood? Not really. See how you can see all the grains and the bubbles, and it's not a smooth glass-like finish. And I know the Silver Clouds in earlier cars, they had a lacquer finish, so you saw a little bit of this graining on this. But the Silver Shadows on, they had a what's that, resin finish, which it should look like a piece of glass, and you see that behind there. So someone has refinished this, and if you look closely, they didn't even take the time, if you look up here, to remove this chrome trim, nor this little ferrule here for the door lock. They just taped it, shot it, and they're good to go. So, which is fine, you know, to each his own. Now, the high current wire coming to this is one of those wires that I fixed, the white and pink wire, going to that door lock anyway. So let's see if we even got voltage over here for this. One thing at a time, right? Scoot around here. So now, since this is hooked to a body or ground, then I can check for voltage.
Do you have to turn the key?
So we got no voltage there. No, door locks have no. So another thing we can check right now, since this circuit, the door lock circuit, has a circuit breaker for it. If you want to, no, let's. Oh, I don't want to break it. This is a circuit breaker. There's two on this car, and what they have is individual little breakers in there, and like a house breaker, you can reset it. Okay, so let's see. No, that one didn't set. Don't tell me your door locks worked before, right?
They work sometimes.
Okay.
I mean, they just sometimes don't work.
Well, this is going to be problematic because we need power. This one should, oh, there it is. So it was the circuit breaker. Whatever happened, see, now we have juice. See that? So the circuit breaker was a fault, which could have happened while I was working on it over there. I could have shorted out the wire, cutting it and playing with it. So there we go. So when you do this wiring modification, you need an external power source that is not tied to the window fuse. So on the back doors, there's a cigar lighter. So it has its independent wire or power source, and so does this. So this is what we're going to feed those relays with. So let's go over the wiring diagram here so we can figure this out. Keys off. This is what I got off the website, that Australian website. This is a window control diagram for Silver Shadow and the SZ series, which is the Spirits and Spurs, I believe. So we're going to put these two relays in there, okay? We're going to wire it in through this is the window motor. So we're going to make new feed wires to the window motor. And then the wires coming to the motors from the switches we're going to use as signal wires for these two relays. If you look at these little things in there, those are diodes. And the diodes are one-way valves. This is what the diodes look like. And I'll show you how they work since we got a power source in here. Actually check them. So a check valve allows one direction only. So we're going to use it as a voltage feed. And the reason we need a check valve is because we're going to tee it. Since the switch normally does polarity reversing here, it goes both ways. So we want to make sure that if we send voltage one way on this wire from one end of the switch, it doesn't send it voltage to the other relay too. We've got to make sure we keep them directional. So a good way to test a diode is we'll just stick it on voltage here, right? So we know we have voltage here on this side of it, but do we have it over here? No, we do not. So now if we flip it over, we know we have voltage on this side and we have voltage on that side. Okay, see there's voltage. See the test light come on?
Yeah.
And there it is, it's on there too. But if you take this diode and you flip it, since it's a one-way valve, you have voltage on one side of the diode, but you don't have voltage on the other side. Pretty simple.
Is there certain ratings on those diodes?
Yeah, there are, and the documentation gives you the ratings.
Those look awful small. They look like they, or maybe doesn't require.
Well, just remember, this is not like a power diode where it's going to be running current to run the motor. All this is doing is activating a relay, which is a low current thing. All you're doing is activating that little tiny windings in that relay. So that means we've got to do some soldering and some wiring. Relays that you use are just standard DPDT or whatever they're called. So they've got what we have here. It gives you even the terminal numbering on here. It's a standard Bosch relay. What you have is these two outer parallel ones here are for the windings of the coil. So that's these two right here. They're 85 and 86. This one right here is normally a feed, and what we're going to use that for is it's going to go to the window motor. Okay, so that's the output now. And then we're going to have an always ground on one of these, and we're going to have one of these be hot. So typically it's the always ground is the closed position, yes. So when these activate, what they do is they take, normally you're going to have continuity between this one and this one that's not activated. Okay? And then when you activate this, it takes the continuity and moves it to these two. So they make connection. And we're going to use this to reverse the polarity.